All right, guys. Before we move on, just to let you know, if you have certain watches that maybe you want to trade in, or perhaps you have a watch you've been looking for that you really want, but you're not sure how you can get it, we can actually help do it for you. Just fill in the details in the Google form in the comment section or the description. Either we'll already have what you want, or we will do everything we can to get it for you. So yeah, comment section and description. Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. We will be talking about stealth wealth. Now, before we begin, today I have with me just Jensen. Unfortunately, Michael is not here. Not quite sure why, but we miss him. Please come back, Michael.
Very busy these days.
Very busy these days. Okay. And by the way, guys, as you know, you can source watches from us. Just fill in the Google form. Anyway, before we begin, Jensen, what in the world is a stealth wealth watch?
Well, I was going to ask you that question, honestly. Okay, so if you're going to talk about stealth means that it's unassuming, right?
Yeah, I can't
Under
say
the radar.
Right? It's a camouflage. You try to camouflage something, you know?
It's not obvious.
Yeah.
So if it's a stealth wealth, then I assume that it means that it's not obvious wealth.
Yes.
But it has to come from a place of wealth.
Yes.
It has to be. It has to have a certain legacy to it.
Yeah.
If not, expensive.
So what kind of people would want this? Now, the reason I asked this is because I think wealth is always, watches are always seen as a signaling tool.
Sure.
I am here, this is me.
Status.
And I'm this, right?
Yeah.
I'm him, you know. And when you introduce this term to me, it's like they're trying to hide their status, or maybe hide it to most people, but select people.
Well, okay, if you're talking about, watches being a symbol, of status, of wealth, or anything like that, I think that's a very, maybe one-dimensional way of looking at watch. It could serve a lot of purpose. As we will discuss maybe in another video about, how many types of watch you want to have, right? Sometimes a watch is just, it's just a watch. Sometimes a watch could be, it's passed down from your grandfather. Sentimental value. Yeah. What was it called? Heirloom.
Heirloom.
Could be an heirloom. But Patek Philippe is well known. To be
that's their
marketing
whole
themselves as a
branding.
heirloom. That's a whole
branding.
There you go. So it could be a lot of things that is attached to that. But if you were talking about stealth wealth, I think there is a very trending topic right now. I've been going through TikToks.
Yes.
One of the trending topics on TikTok with regards to watch is old wealth, new wealth. And then they've been talking about Succession, the show on HBO.
Yeah, I'm at season 3, don't spoil it for me. But okay. I heard season 4 is really good.
I'm not even done. I'm not even, I haven't even started watching on it.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. But everyone is talking about how the kinds of ultra high net worth, they don't dabble in brands.
That's true. That is true.
In big, loud logos.
Yeah.
Rolex,
Especially the European rich.
Yeah, the old wealth, right? Maybe.
The European, those that own the chocolates
Chateau,
and
the wines.
Right. Yeah.
We can only imagine.
Yeah.
Watch these people on the show. The point is, I think for these people, it is said that they don't dabble with this kind of like logos that seeks attention. They want basically just pure comfort, quality. And usually that comes with a high price tag. We just don't know it.
Right.
Like, I don't know. You're an investor. You know what Mark Zuckerberg likes to do with his fashion. He chooses one shirt. I don't know what the brand is.
It really helps with the... I'm not saying people should wear the same shirt always, but I think having a consistent rotation is very good, right?
I guess, but aren't you wearing the same shirt that he's wearing now?
So similar, very similar. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, the point is, it's comfortable. It probably is comfortable to it.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to think. You don't have to think about what to wear. It's like.
So yeah, it might be that kind of watch that we're talking about right now, stealth wealth. I don't think they're trying to hide, behind anything. I think it's just comfortable to them. I think it's just to them a quality piece that they pass down to their kids. And if it's quality enough, it could last for decades, even 100 years.
So before we move on to the 3 watches that you're going to show us.
Two watches.
Two watches, sorry.
Not that wealthy.
yeah. Not enough stealth.
Not enough stealth.
Not enough wealth as well. I think the best way to understand this, it just came to me as you were talking actually, is this really, really jacked and big bodybuilder wearing a very, very baggy shirt.
A jacked
bodybuilder that's wearing a very, very baggy shirt. So he cannot, no one can tell the guy is big because it's so baggy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So that's a good, that's
how I explain it for noobs like me who are like have heard this term for the first time or at least today.
Sure.
So yeah, maybe let's start off.
That makes sense.
What?
Okay, so I think when it comes to stealth wealth,
yes,
the first image that comes to my mind is that it's unassuming watch.
Yes.
It's not loud like the big bulky ones. Probably like
the colorful bling bling type.
Yeah, the colorful bling. If you talk about wealthy watches, the watches that wealthy wears, maybe a AP or maybe Audemars Piguet,
Richard Milles.
Richard Milles.
Yep.
Even if you talk about a Patek Philippe, let's say 5711, right? So the Nautilus, it's also bulky enough. People can recognize it from, a kilometer away. So the point is, it's to find a watch that is worn by the wealthy, or at least has a legacy of that, but is unassuming. So the first one I have, though, I can talk about today, is a Patek Philippe.
That's a Patek Philippe. Okay, you see, that's interesting. I wouldn't think that's a Patek Philippe.
Yes,
looks like something you bought off MCOP Malls.
Maybe, yeah, it might be something you bought.
All right, okay.
A lot of people think that MCOP Mall has nothing.
Show it up.
Yeah, lots of people think that there's nothing in MCOP Mall, but it is actually sell a lot of vintage.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Very unassuming. I think the colors are very basic, very plain.
Yes.
And even, there are no numbers, right, on the clock.
This is a marker dial. A stick marker.
Right.
Basically, that marker, which means your hours are in stick form, yes.
Right.
And then a very thin minute and hour hands without the second. So it's a two-handed watch. Yes. What? Very tiny, very unassuming. This is actually my tiniest watch.
Your what watch, sorry?
My tiniest watch.
So
measured by 32 to 37.
Is this the strap that is most suitable for this, or you feel like there could be other straps that can fit this?
For this particular watch, it's actually a very well-known watch. In fact, the late Queen Elizabeth wears a watch like this.
See, royalty.
Yeah. Royalty. It's okay, so it's called the Patek Philippe Golden Ellipse, and something to do with the strap later on. It actually came originally, if not wrong, in gold mesh.
MESH.
MESH, yes, gold mesh.
Okay.
I have an example of a mesh.
Now, guys, if you have a watch in mind that you want us to review that we haven't reviewed yet, just let us know in the comments, right? We'll definitely respond to that and get to you ASAP. Okay, sure.
It's not a gold color here, but it's more like this is a mesh.
With a lot of like...
for those of you viewers, you might be interested or you might be into Daniel Wellington watches, DW.
Right. Yeah. They've been quite in the scene for the past 5 years.
Their watches look really good in mesh straps. So I think the Golden Ellipse came in golden mesh straps at one point of time. So this watch, very famous. Back in the 1970s. They debuted, I think, around 1968. It was designed by the very famous Gerald Genta. So I was thinking, so this watch is not just coming from a wealthy brand, Patek Philippe, but it's also designed by one of the more sought-after watch designers of those years, 60s, 70s, Gerald Genta. Have you heard of the name?
No.
He designed Royal Oak from AP. He designed Nautilus as well.
Wow.
Patek Philippe. He designed this watch called the King Midas. By Rolex.
Unique watch. It must be gold.
Yeah. It is very unique watch. I love it. If I can get my hands on it, King Midas. He designed a lot of very famous watches that became very iconic. And he is one of those. Sorry, not one of those. He is the first person who popularized stainless steel watches, making stainless steel watches even more popular, sought after than its gold or rose gold or white gold counterpart sometimes.
Right.
Actually fetch more price. The same model for this is more expensive than
and if correct me if I'm wrong, what stainless steel brings to the table is the fact that it just lasts longer.
It lasts longer.
Right.
You could grind it down, polish it without feeling that you have lost value. I mean, if it's a yellow gold and if you grind it down, then certain value is lost.
That's
so
true.
I think for this particular watch, like you said just now, take a look at it's really a simple watch. I wear it under wrist like that. Make it even stealthier so that people don't know what I'm wearing.
Wow.
It's just functional that way as well. It has very simple dial, what we call a Soleil blue dial. So it's like a deep blue sunburst. Very thin gold markers, 14K or 8. Sorry, this is 18K gold. And it has what they call the Sigma dial. So some Patek Philippe vintage collectors. This is from the 1982s, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have this thing all the way at the bottom. It's very small. I probably would just post it on TikTok.
Sure.
There's this thing called a Sigma dial. So it tells us that the gold here used is real gold.
Yeah.
So that was one of the way that the Swiss wanted to protect the watch industry.
And you're saying it's a bit dark blue, right? It's not actually black. Am I right?
No, you can't tell. It's actually what they call a Soleil blue. Fancy name for maybe a sunburst blue dial.
Fair enough. I just have a couple more questions for this. I think one is, I think the impression people will get with small millimeter watches is that it's meant for women.
Oh, okay. So this watch, I mean, back in the days in the 1960s and 70s, watches were smaller.
Okay.
Right? You'll be looking at 36.
Yeah.
Maybe for a dress watch, 36 can go down to 34, 35. And most likely you will see one, maybe I would say in the 1960s and 70s, you probably buy one for yourself, 36, and that is considered a larger watch already. So this one is 37 at large, at most, 32 at the base. So it's definitely a smaller watch. It was sold as a unisex watch.
I see it. That was a follow-up that I wanted to ask.
That was sold as a unisex watch. Lots of guys wouldn't like this right now because it's way too small. But back then, considered a small watch is still acceptable. In fact, it peaked around 1970s.
Yeah.
The popularity peaked around 1970s. Eventually became more of a woman's watch in the 1990s, but right now they came out with a larger one. There is still a new one. I think it's reference number 5378.
So, I think one of our earlier episodes, we talked about not just the eye test, but also the wrist test, right? So, how would you look at this watch from that perspective? Where is it better for someone to have a wider wrist or a smaller wrist for this kind of watch?
I think this is really straightforward. I think it's proportionate to your wrist size. Okay, I have a 7.5 inch wrist.
Okay.
Most, I think, guys that I meet right now has maybe a 6-inch wrist, 6.5, maybe less than that. So I think this would sit comfortably on that wrist. It looks probably nicer in a suit when you are in a more dressier occasion, in a party like that. Okay. And like I said just now, my preference of wearing this particular watch is really on top of it being a stealthier watch. I like to wear it under wrist like that. It's just a style that I prefer for this particular watch.
Of course, that's not something you can do with those 40mm, those bigger, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't do that. Yeah.
Last question would be money, right? A, how much? What's a fair price right now? And B, does it hold its value?
All right. So, of course, there is a deeper story for this watch. I'm never going to sell this watch because I kind of promised my friend. His name is Edward.
Suppose you did.
Yeah. I promised a friend of mine that I will never ever sell this watch. If I were to sell this watch, it would be to him. It might actually one day, be passed down to his son instead. So,
cool.
Shout out to Edward. The thing is, for this particular watch, I got it at a really cheap price, around 25,000.
This ringgit, right?
Ringgit. Yeah. For Patek Philippe, it's really affordable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Today with box and papers, it could go up to about 50,000. I have, I think I've seen the models ranging around 30 plus, just about 1 or 2 years back. I was just checking the price last night. It was around 50,000. So it holds its value pretty well. I think given its brand name, Patek Philippe, given that it's designed by Gerald Gentile, which often carries a premium, it could actually go up more. I think so.
That, guys.
I'm hoping.
Right. Oh yeah, actually I know I've said many last questions. This is the last one. Is that, are there different variations for these watches?
Oh, tons. I mean, you could Google, the late Queen Elizabeth, her version of the golden eclipse. It's blinked out. I think it has diamond encrusted bezel. It has pearls for its straps instead of leather like this. And if you look into, let's say, the later models that included some skeleton versions,
Oh,
yeah,
it's very hipster.
Skeleton meaning so you could see through the watch. Yeah.
Like you can see your skin.
Yeah, you can see your skin. Yeah, no skeleton, that's what skeleton watch is. You can see through a skin or you can just look into the internal movements. The more blinged out ones, the more fancy ones came out later, maybe towards the year 2000. Yeah, those are the ones that carry a bit more premium.
So if you are enjoying the video so far, always remember to support us by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Click on the notification bell so whenever new videos pop, you'll know it right away. Okay, so watch number 2.
Okay, so I think a lot of you, if you're listening to this stealth valve, and maybe you're thinking of getting one for yourself, right? And then you'll be turned off.
Yeah.
By the price tag. And after all, I'd say Patek Philippe is not exactly a watch that you just want to buy right now. It's a watch you probably inherited.
Is it? Yeah.
Right?
Rich father.
Yeah, rich father, rich grandfather. Or, it's a watch that maybe you bought from another person who wants to sell it at a cheap price. Yeah. So it really is a buyer's thing. So most people, when they talk about watches, Patek Philippe, they talk about Calatrava.
Calatrava, okay.
Nautilus, we talk about Aquanauts. We talked about just now the very slim Gerald Gender design. What do you call it? The Golden Ellipse. So I have another slim watch to offer that is along the lines of Golden Ellipse, but it's rounder.
Okay.
It looks more like Patek Philippe Calatrava, which looks like this.
Okay,
this
so I see. I'm not sure whether the inside is stainless steel.
I think stainless steel. Yeah. It's stainless steel. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think they use silver back then.
So I'm noticing a trend, and that is most of these watches are so basic, right? And the color is basic, and then the needles are basic. The time, the dial is basic. The dial is basic.
It's the same stick marker. It's the same slim hands. Right. Instead of having a 2 hands, this is a 3-hand version. So there's a second hand there as well.
Right, the second hand, yeah.
This is much cheaper than
so what? 10, 20?
No. This one here is at most 2,000 ringgit.
Wait, so how is that? That sounds more stealth than it is wealth. No?
Yeah. Okay, so let me explain this. So this takes a little bit more explanation.
Yeah.
And again, very interesting about this watch. So this is what we call the Seiko Gold Feather.
Gold Feather.
Gold Feather. Okay. This is a vintage watch.
Okay.
If I'm not wrong, in the 1962, 63. So it's a really early watch, about 60-year-old right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's actually older than the other one.
This one, 1982. So yes, this is about 40 years old. This is about 60 years old.
Okay.
It was at that point of time the second thinnest movement or second thinnest watch in Japan.
So why does that matter? Why does thin movements matter?
Well, it means that it is of a higher engineering tier back then.
Right.
Yeah. So it doesn't have a numbered movement. It's called a 60M caliber back then. But it has a thinner counterpart from Citizen, I think called a Diamond Flick. So this was actually its second thinnest watch. If it's a thin watch back then, it means that it's some kind of an exotic watch. Nowadays, you see a lot of thin watches. You have JLC, right? Jaeger-LeCoultre, that comes out with a thin version. You have a lot of thin watches, small watches, Bauhaus style like Nomos, like Junghans. All these are thin watches. And I think thin watches maybe fell out of popularity when diver watches came out. That value bulkier watches, more functional. They want to go underwater with them. Yeah, they want to bang around with it. This one, thin watches, it was popular in the 1960s. Maybe fell out of favor for the maybe next 20, 30 years, 1980s, 1990s. But I think it's coming back. See, why I consider this a stealth valve is because just a few days ago, we knew that Seiko highest most premium brand, Credor, Credor, is their premium brand. Their watches cost 6 figures minimum, right? Is going to release a reissue of Gold Feather, which looks exactly like this, in my opinion, except for a few differences. First, the Gold Feather writes, the logo here writes Seiko Gold Feather. They are going to change the Seiko to Credor, which is, we all know, is a higher version, more premium version.
10x, 20x the price.
I hope.
So what you're saying is...
And then they move the Gold Feather down to the bottom. So it becomes like a more premium version of the Gold Feather.
So what you're saying is... it's not just stealth in appearance, it's maybe stealth in price also. It gives people the impression that actually, I'm holding a 200k watch.
You'll be holding to the
price.
Grandfather or the father of the 200k watch. It's, I think, 3.3 million yen.
Okay.
So that's about 34,000 US dollars. So that's about 120, 130 K ringgit.
Interesting.
Released next year, but it's really beautiful. They removed the third second hand, so it's a two-hand model, but largely maintain the same feel of the vintage gold feather.
Does a two-hand model make it more premium? Well, or it just makes anyone's
it more
interpretation
minimalistic.
Oh, okay.
When you like a minimalistic watch, you want to have as few details as possible, but at the same time, retain those details and make it matter, like the Sigma dial I showed on Patek Philippe just now. On this particular one, you want to just basically retain its name. What is the selling point for this particular watch? It's, like I said just now, it's thin. It's less than 2mm thin for the new model.
Do you think that the fact of it being the grandfather means that, there's a lot more upwards pressure in the price simply because of that?
That's a good question.
It's a speculative question.
It is a speculative question in my opinion. I do think that there is a certain maybe influence, like a Back to the Future kind of thing. Your price in the future raised the price for a vintage price like this. I do think that there is a feature. I do think that there is maybe some price mechanism there. I think it works in brands like Rolex. Your new model comes out at a higher price, your old model will definitely raise in price. I think
it's like a drag along.
It's a drag along. I think Michael would agree with me on that. But when it comes to Seiko, I think the effects may be a little bit more blurred. Not just Seiko, maybe on the Omega as well. That I think would be a little bit more blurred. But definitely, I think if Cradle were to come out with a model like that, right, that calls back to its history, like back to the 1960s, with such a faithful design to its original 1960 designs, I think to a certain extent it would raise interest on the vintage side of gold feather, and raising interest in a market like watches where, information asymmetry is always an issue. Liquidity is always an issue as well. I think it would actually raise up the price, maybe 10%, 20% minimum.
Fair enough. Guys, so that'll be it for the video. We will have more conversations, more stealth wealth watches.
I hope we get to see Michael's pick of stealth wealth.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Part 2 definitely coming, guys.
Yeah. Make it maybe in the future. Make it something like a monthly thing or.
Yeah, I think we will. Let us know, guys. If you want this to be a monthly thing.
I love this topic.
We want to. We also want to know whether you're rich, basically, right? What you intend to become. All right, guys. Thank you so much for staying all the way. And guys, just a reminder, if you want some of these watches, obviously the Patek Philippe is not made available, but perhaps other style watches that
what do you think about?
Want.
What do you think is a good stealth wealth? I'm actually very curious what do you think.
Yeah. And if you want to source some of these watches, we can help you get it for you, hopefully for a good price as well. Just fill in the Google form. And guys, really looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.